what's for me? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by Dark Future Systems, the best in your custom computing, gaming, creative experience. Go darkfuturesystems.com. Link trip to the podcast. You can get $100 off your entire build. Code CPPOD at checkout anytime during your build. Trust us, you're going to want to do this. Oh, yeah. Now, that feature presentation, we have NVRLESS in the podcast with vocalists Casey and Jordy. We talk about how they're playing with Bad Wolves on December 11th, and then this conversation dives deep into creating positivity, going after your dreams, and why support is such a great thing in that. Oh, this is a great one. So let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. One of my favorite things to do on this podcast is ask artists to give me a couple of bands that for us to check out, for everyone else to check out, that they're really into, that they really like to support. When we had Trevor from Windwalkers on the podcast back in November, he labeled 3 bands as his go-to bands for this. And this band right here is one of them. They have a new song called Bones, which was released earlier this year, like September-ish. So you can go check that out. They released their first album, Affliction, in 2022. And cool enough, they will be supporting Bad Wolves at the Whisky A Go-Go on December 11th. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, I suggest you go check it out. But before you go check out that show, why not get to know the band right here with the 2 vocalists? So please welcome Casey and Jordy from NVRLESS to the podcast. So, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
What's up?
Get all the horns out. Just
We're going for the semi-truck horn.
Yeah. So just everyone's gonna be going like this to you as you go on stage now to play Bad Wolves and be like, yeah, we need to hear the truck horn, and someone's got to have it programmed somewhere.
There's our gimmick right there.
Yeah. Perfect gimmick. But to start out, when I saw that you were performing with Bad Wolves at the Whisky Go on December 11th, I mean, that's something that's pretty dang nifty. Not only playing with Bad Wolves, but playing in an iconic venue like Whisky Go-Go. So how did you get to, be on a bill like that? How did this all come together?
So funny enough. We've been in the scene for a little bit now, a couple of years at least. And so you just kind of weirdly enough share Facebook friends, which is like it's funny. You just kind of end up, oh, I know that guy from that band. Maybe looks at my, friend request or just weird, funny stuff like that. So, anyways, one of the guys that I ended up being friends with, his name's Anthony, and he does like booking and stuff for the Whisky. And so he threw a post up one day and he was like, hey, anybody, looking to play the Whisky this year, let me know, shoot me a DM. I'm like, okay, cool. So I shoot him a DM and he's like, all the business stuff. He's like, yeah, so you got to sell like 400 tickets or something crazy amount of tickets. And we're in Arizona, man. So there's no way we're selling that many tickets in LA. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. And, we didn't talk much again. And so like 4 months later, he hits me up and he's like, hey, I got the show. Would you guys be down to play it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, I really like your band. Like, I think you guys would be good on the lineup. It'd be a lot of fun. And I was like, okay, sick for sure. And then we just ended up kind of getting on to like this kind of a banger show, like it's cool. Bad Wolves is playing shows and especially in LA. So, I mean, we missed the opportunity to play at the venue last year. Was it last year? Mm-hmm. Last year. So we were on tour. We did like a little tour with Escape the Fate on part of their Dead Masquerade 2 tour. So, Whisky was on that and we were gassed to play that venue. We're like, oh my God, dude, fucking Whisky, freaking out. And then, so we missed that. We were pretty disappointed, but, this time around we're like, okay, like finally, like we're not on a tour. Like we just get to go out there and play the show. So yeah, it's cool. We're definitely super grateful and thankful. Like Anthony's super nice, super awesome guy. So it was really cool of him to kind of have us in mind, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Shout out
to him
funny.
For sure.
Shout out Anthony.
Super cool of him to think of us.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anthony. What a guy.
What a guy, dude.
I mean, it's something where it unfortunately wasn't able to work out the last time with Escape the Fate, but it's weird where, especially in the music industry, because I've run into this exact same thing where you just become friends with the most random people on literally on Facebook, and you see what they post. It's sometimes you don't always interact with it, but sometimes you're like, you know what, I got to take a shot at this and see what happens. It's happened to myself as well with the podcast, so I totally understand where you're coming from. And that's a little bit of like a little, you know, fun little tip and trick for different other people in the scene where, yeah, you can put out some friend requests there. You never know who you're going to get.
And friend requests to everybody you've ever liked ever. My mom is so funny, dude. She added, I cannot remember who it was, but it's some guy from like some big band. I'm not going to name drop anything, but I guess he added her back. And my mom was like, I'm friends with so-and-so on Facebook. She's like, I wonder if he'll recognize me at a show. And I'm like, Mom, it's not like that. She's like, maybe she'd be my boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, chill out. So I'm like, my mom was already trying to pick up band dudes. I'm like, no, Mom, stop. You don't want that. Trust me. I'm a band dude. So... yeah, she's funny, dude.
Mom, these are my friends.
Come on. I know, this dude's in like a huge band. No, I'm like, how did you even get this guy? It's crazy. So funny. Oh my God.
He was lurking back, I guess.
He was lurking.
He was lurking back, but your mom was trying to go back to, you know, being 21, 22 years old, just trying to hang out with band dudes. And all of a sudden it's like, Mom, you realize you have a kid.
Yeah, she's like,
I'm a band dude. I'm around that period. Like, do you really want to do this?
Yeah, but my mom's thought process, she's like, yeah, I have a kid and he's in a band. What's up?
That makes me cool.
Which is kind of cool. She's putting on, but it's so funny.
It makes me cool, but also check out his band. I got the t-shirt on right here. Maybe you could have him on a show. Oh.
My mom's trying to industry plant us, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Thanks someone's got planting us, Mom.
Yeah.
Thanks for industry plans, Mom. Someone's got to be out there to support you. I mean, what would be better than that? It's you're gonna have, you know, your mom's story, but the fact of the matter is you're gonna have someone that's so feverishly into supporting you that, hey, people are gonna end up checking out and listening. If she's friends with random band dude from big band, you never know what might happen. I mean, heck, you being friends with a Booker, Whisky, a Go-Go randomly on Facebook led to you being booked on a show with Bad Wolves.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really wholesome. Like, honestly, like
my mom throwing it back for
yes, that's wholesome. No, I was more going down the path of I mean, like, you know, all jokes aside, I do think that like there are a lot of parents of kids that want to pursue music, and I think that Jordy and I lucked out with our parents being so supportive of us pursuing music from pretty much the jump. I mean, like, they were like, okay, well, like, I'm here to support you if that doesn't, you know, happen, but you're really talented and I want to see it happen. And then it just kind of snowballed and they were like, oh shit, you guys are actually like doing stuff. That's cool.
They're like, okay, we're going to where? You're playing what venue? So
my dad is basically like our tour bus driver at this point.
He's our manager.
And he's basically like our manager and our touring manager. Yeah. I mean, he likes to take on all the roles, and it's really cool because I think like as you get older, you realize like you don't spend as much time with your parents anymore. So it's really cool that our parents are like, you know, right there beside us while we're trying to do the thing, you know.
That is really cool because one thing I've always consistently heard is, you know, when people have parents and it's unfortunately, you know, when they lose them, they always look back and say, oh, I didn't spend as much time with them as I wanted to, specifically later on in life. Because as we continue to grow, we continue to start going off and do our own things. We might move away. We might have different interests that take us different places. But at the same time, it kind of pulls away from our family. And that time is something you can never get back. If you want to get a good example of that, listen to the song Only Money by A Day to Remember, because Jerry McKinnon puts it out there perfectly with the loss of his grandmother and how it affects, where it's like, yeah, I'd always go off and do this stuff, you know, for the band, for A Day to Remember, but that doesn't end up, that's not like suitable replacement for the time you get to spend with family. And
that money and that time spent elsewhere is not like, it doesn't equate to, you know, all the good times that you share with those people. So like having those people with you as often as you like are on the road, or like try to have them there with you as often as possible, I think really makes for like looking back on really awesome memories.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because as time goes on, you know, money comes and goes, but those memories are going to be the things that stay with you the longest as we grow in life, as we get older in life, as we get to that point where, you know, we cross the rainbow bridge.
Yeah. Super deep. That's it's weird. Like I've been getting a lot of like, I don't know. I've been having a lot of, I don't know if you believe in like signs and the universe has a way of telling you things, but I've been having a lot of signs in the last couple of months, like to really enjoy spending time with the people that I love before it's too late. You know, like I've been really close to my grandparents growing up. They live a whole state away, but we would trek out there like 12 hours, like a couple times a year to see them. We'd be there for like a week or maybe two sometimes. And, as I've gotten older, I go out there less and less. And now they're not doing so hot. They're not doing, as well as, I think in our minds, we think that our family's going to live forever until one day they don't. And they're not the way they used to be. They're not as sharp as they used to be. And it just kind of gets to you a little bit. But, spending time with your friends, your family, the friends that you've made family. I think that's just really, really important to do as much as you can before it's too late.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with the fact that when it comes to your family specifically, they're very supportive of you. Like Casey having your dad potentially be tour manager and Jordy having your mom basically be marketing manager by trying to talk to Big Band Dude to get you guys potentially.
My mom's trying to throw back for the one time,
Throw back for the one time, and then after you guys get on that bill, throw back for the second time. And
I guess, dude. Then my mom's,
That's the way it be sometimes.
Oh, man.
That's the way it is, but that's the way it is. But one thing that still stands out is, especially with the both of you, compared to a lot of other people in the music scene, you have parents that are there supporting you every step of the way. They're helping you, and they're giving you that support in the background where, if you need it, they're there. If something doesn't go right, they're there. If you try this and it doesn't work out, they're going to be there to help pick you up. It's something that not a lot of people have in music because, of course, everyone loves music. But when it comes to parents, they want what's best for us all the time, or most of the time, I should say. But they all love to live in the world of practicality. So if you're going out there trying to make music, trying to make something of yourself, trying to be in the creative space, it's like, well, why don't you just go get a desk job? It's stable, then you can buy a house. Well, that's not necessarily what you want to do. You don't want to follow around this cookie cutter path as everybody else. You want to go pursue your dreams. But having that family support has to be something that is invaluable to you going forward, and must be something, again, that's super just incredible to have, given the fact that maybe not a lot of people in the scene have that from their families.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely super thankful, like, for our parents. Our parents do a lot for us. I mean, just emotionally supportive. But, it doesn't always start off like that, at least in my case. Like, it took my, it actually took kind of me standing up for myself for the first time, like as an adult, when I was like, I don't know, 18, 19, right? Because you're young and you're like, oh man, I really want to do this band thing, but you got to go to college, or so-and-so doing this. And so even my granddad specifically is like really like a big like pillar in my life for, like success and like finding what it is that I want to do, but also being able to like create a sustainable life where I can have a family and kind of carry on, like everyone else is like, oh, I'm having a family, and they kind of everyone goes through that cycle. But it definitely took me, it took a little bit of doing, at least from my end. My parents got divorced when I was like 19, and my mom moved to Texas and my dad moved to like New York. And I'm, 19, young. I work like 20 hours a week at like a Olive Garden, like serving tables. And I'm like, I think I'm going to stay here in Arizona. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you doing this? I was like, no, I'm doing it. And meanwhile, we had like an EP with like, I don't know, 2,000 streams on it. I was like, it just completely made no sense to be like, no, mom, I'm staying. But like that kind of like sticking up for yourself and like showing and proving, hey, look, like I have something I believe in, whether you believe in it or not, and that really kind of resonates. Our parents are just grown up kids too, so like they want what's best for us, but also I feel like it's kind of a learning experience for everybody, because my mom specifically, she was like, yeah, like I didn't really understand, but now that I'm seeing all of these things that I didn't even realize that you were capable of, because I didn't know I was capable, you know what I'm saying? You put your own, like, it's like it's like going shopping with somebody else's wallet, right? You're like, man, I don't know if I can afford this, but if they can,
Yeah.
So it definitely was a really big like cornerstone. And then you kind of understand, okay, this is actually real. Like this could actually happen. We didn't realize that, so it definitely took a little bit of doing to kind of show them the way and be like, hey, look, like we believe in this. We're going to make this work, whether you want to help or not. And then over time, it's like, hey, like we're in it with you, And so it's really redeeming to like kind of be right, and be like, okay, like this might work a little bit, so
yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's something that is really incredible to hear that, you stood up for yourself in that capacity, and then your family started to rally behind you on that.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of times where I feel like a lot of kids or people, 18, 19 years old, they're trying to go in the creative space, try and do something in music. They might have that moment where they stand up for themselves, and their families are much more headstrong in this in terms of what they think they should do, trying to influence their decision, because that's sometimes a lot of people do that in families. They try and get other people in their families to follow along with whatever vision that they have for them. So there can be this messed up kind of weird dynamic that happens, and then it kind of splits families apart because you have someone that's trying to go after something for their dreams, trying something new, especially with their life, because it's one life. We only get one shot at this.
Right.
So why try and go for a bunt single instead of, going for a home run? Why try and play it safe and work at a corporate job where you're going to go with the 9 to 5 and then happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
And then, we're living the dream. And inside you're just like dying because you wish you would have done something. It's when parents are able to realize that they still have that like inner kid within them. It's like, oh shoot, what did you want to do at that age? What did you really want to go after? Why didn't you go after it? And do you regret not going after it? And I think the parents that really think that and really get an understanding of that, those are the ones that are going to be supportive of you going forward with your dreams and help you alongside that, because they know that's what they wish they would have done. Not maybe what you're exactly doing, but going after your dreams in that capacity.
Yeah, I feel like people really box themselves in, especially like our parents' generation, right? You got to think of how their parents were, very hard people, it's, we're talking like 40s, 50s, like these are tough people, everyone's grandparents is pretty headstrong. So it's definitely become kind of like a learning curve for everybody, but it's really nice to see everybody come out of that shell and come out of that box of thinking and go, okay, like anything is possible. It's really validating, because you have your family behind you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's really weird to see like other people who don't feel that way, like who are in our generation, who are like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to do music? Like, that's not a real job. Like, and it's those same people that, were like, oh, you guys are not going to make it, or you guys are not going to be going anywhere. Like, who will message us and be like, your band is so good. Or, I remember going to high school with you. Like, I've always believed in you. And we're like, that's so weird, because I remember that very differently. But it's weird to see people like just kind of live their life on autopilot and be okay with that. Because I think every day, like, there's nothing else that I would rather be doing. It might be like really stressful at times. And we go through so many things that we're just like, dude, is the universe giving us a sign to quit? Or like what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But
it's an emotional roller coaster for sure.
It's an emotional roller coaster, but I think I would rather do this 10 times over than get up every morning for work and go basically be socially autopilot at some job that I absolutely fucking despise and making barely any money and not happy. Is like, I mean, it's crazy to think that people do that every day and they're just like, this is my life. It will be for the next 50 years.
Yeah. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, they say that's a cliche statement, but it's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And to kind of add on to Casey's point too, absolutely, I'm with you on that. Where I lived that life right out of college. I got a job about maybe a month after I graduated in the corporate world. I'm like, oh, let's just, this is where everything is leading to, so let's see where this goes. And after like a month or two, I was just social autopilot the whole entire time. Hated every minute of it. Despised it. And it really took a nasty turn for me in life, to the point where everything seemed so good coming out of college. Like, oh, I got the world on my shoulders. Like, I got everything in front of me. And about 6 months later, I was just losing everything, depressed, angry, just kind of just wondering if this was what life was going to be like. And if for some reason, if people are out there and that's what they think of as their life and that's what they really want to do, absolutely go for it. That's what you want to do.
More power to them, by all means.
Yeah, but for other people, that's like, we got to do something else. We got to have this other bit of inspiration. We have to have this feeling of creativity that we own this and that we are the ones that are responsible for ourselves, not trying to necessarily work for somebody else's goals, but work for our own goals as well. We got to go out and do that. We got to take charge on that. And if it works out, absolutely, it's a win. But for some reason, if it doesn't work out, then at least we know that we tried it. We went for it. And we're never going to be looking back and resenting the fact that we never went for it.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like that's everyone's fear, right? Is like being 85, 90 years old and you're on your deathbed and you're like, man, did I do everything I really wanted to do? Because we don't know what's coming after that. So it's like, it's definitely like a leap for sure. But I feel like as many people, something we've actually come across recently, but I feel like everybody who kind of pretends that they have it all together and like, yeah, I know exactly what's going on, right? Like, no, you fucking don't. Like, you don't know what's going on. We don't. Like, no one actually knows what the fuck is going on. So like, we were like, why are we going to pretend like we know what we're doing, why we're doing it, how, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, we like this thing and we want to find a way to do it as long as we can. And that's how everybody should, I feel like, live their life, is like, and if they find something they like, fucking do that. You know what I mean? Some people like just having a family and that's like the ceiling for them, or not the ceiling, but like, that's the goal for them. And they're like, whatever I have to do to have a family and to do that because I love having a family. Like that's, that's kind of that's a lot of people who get kind of invested in like living that regular 9-to-5 type life because they want to just have a family, and it really, it's a huge spectrum of whatever people want to do. So,
yeah, I think that like, I think my biggest thing in life, like just how I choose to live and how like I choose to treat other people is like, everyone is so different. And like, I'm not going to sit here and judge someone else for like doing what they want to do. I might not understand it, but if you are happy and you are a kind person to me, like I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope that, you're doing what you want to do and living on your terms. And I hope that you wish the same for me and everyone around me, like I think that it's just really important to be kind and supportive of everyone around you. I think it makes the world a better place. There are some really fucking hateful people out there who, like for whatever reason or another, maybe it's just the way they were raised or, they don't agree with your beliefs or whatever it might be. Like, as long as you come at somebody with the approach of like, it's your life, live it how you want. I respect you. If you respect me, like we can be friends, we can be cool. So I think that just like goes hand in hand with like, like we might not understand somebody else's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like we might not understand why somebody else lives their life a certain way, but like more power to them. Like if you want to go, like work on a farm and raise animals, like, I mean, that's a really important job. I mean, like it is, if we didn't have farms, we didn't have, all of these animals, like,
but some people have passion for those.
Yeah. Some people have passion. Like I absolutely could never, like, I don't know. I love like horses and stuff, but I can't imagine like living on a farm. That's crazy.
I grew up on a farm, so
I appreciate it so much because it's so out of my wheelhouse. Like I'm like, wow, I'm fascinated by shit like that.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just so different. Some people are like, they live in a big city their entire life. Like we live in like a pretty like moderately like
live in an okay city.
We live in like a normal sized city. I feel like, Tucson is like pretty big, but it's not like one of the big, it's not Atlanta
it's not
or Phoenix or or LA.
I wish we had highways like Phoenix though.
Oh Jesus. Man, I get dizzy driving in Phoenix. It's all like I can't do it.
Say don't
it's
worry.
Rough, dude. I get sick, and oh my god, driving with my fiance in Phoenix is something else. We miss every other turn. She's like, I didn't see it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help.
So don't worry, Casey. I totally understand that too, because I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So again, it's a city. It's got a good size to it, but it's nowhere near as big as what's 90 miles south of me in Chicago. And I was literally in Chicago last night to go see Imminence perform, and it's just like,
how was that?
It was a good show. Not gonna lie, it was something where everyone was super into it. But of course, I'm a guy that loves being in the mosh pit, love going crazy. And that the pit wasn't as big as I was hoping it was going to be, but I think it was because this is like Imminence's third show ever in America. And so people are so enamored with the fact that the vocalist can sing and scream while playing the violin. Like, you want to watch that. It makes sense.
That's mad props to those guys. Those guys are sick.
Crazy.
Mad props. But what you said really kind of stood out, where it's, we be kind of, because you don't understand what motivates them, what their motivation life is, what their passion is in life. And if I always look at it too as a success being relative to happiness, where if we're 85 years old and you're on your deathbed, what if you have the most amount of money in the world? What happens if you have tens of millions of dollars? I mean, I'm not, that's even less than the most amount of money in the world. But what if you have like tens of millions of dollars and you're sitting on your deathbed and you're regretting everything because you always wanted to have a family, or you always wanted to try this, but you kept playing this game that you kept wanting to get more money, and be successful in the ways that's, pop culture and society has you thinking, but it's not what you want. I look at myself, it's, I still have work a full-time job to support myself in this, but I get to do a podcast. I get to interview people like you. I get to talk with people from all around the music world. I get to go to concerts and I get to meet people and I get to hang out with people. I get to be in these crazy mosh pits and have these crazy times, but that's what I want to do. My best friend bought a house, literally turned his backyard into a whole entire chicken farm, and he's more of like a nomad type even, where he'll just go random places and live out of a van, and he loves doing that. I also have a friend, his name's Jimmy. Dude, him and his wife just had a baby. He works a 9 to 5. He wanted to have a family, but when we get together, we have all different motives for life, but we all get along super well together, and we're all happy as all hell when we're with each other, and we're all happy as hell with our lives because we're doing what we want to do. We're going after it, and even though it's all completely different, we respect the fact that we are all going for something that we want. Similar to what this conversation is. I'm respecting the both of you because you're going after what you want in life. You're taking charge of it, and you're not letting this like idea of you have to fit in this certain box, or you have to fit along this certain path like that a lot of our parents went down, that a lot of our grandparents were forced to go down because of the time that was going around at that time. Of course, we're talking about World War II in the 50s, where that was a lot more of the prevalent pressure in culture. It's something where I respect the absolute hell out of it for anyone, especially in the creative space that's going into music, because it's not an easy place to be in. It's not easy to be creative. It's not easy to bear your soul in a lot of these songs, bear a lot of the emotional weight that you're feeling, put it out there, because the internet exists, and the internet's going to roast everybody and make fun of everybody and be vile at times. It can be supportive of you, but a lot of times there's going to be people that are just going to put out some shit comments there, and you got to be willing to go and do that. And I absolutely respect anyone that's willing to put themselves out there and do that.
Yeah,
well, but not make shit comments, but put themselves out there creatively.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think one thing that I'm realizing, like, through this conversation about, like, like, I'm friends with so and so, and we're all so different. Like, you think, how did I get to be friends with these people? Maybe it's like, you went to school together, or you met them here, or whatever. But like, one thing I think remains the same is, like, no matter how you meet somebody, like, passion to live brings people together. So I just think it's really universal. I mean, like, we have so many different kinds of friends, and like, they look and act certain ways, and they do, like, their everyday life is so vastly different from us, but we still love them all the same. Like, it's so crazy to think about, like, just every single human being on this earth has, like, their ideal way to live, and every single person's looks so different than the next. So, like, if you really just live your life as passionately as you can, as authentically as you can, I think, like, that's how you connect yourself with people that grow to love you and just are just fucking vibing in life.
Yeah, because it's that positive energy is very, like, what is it, contagious. It's attractive too, where if you're putting out positive energy in the world because you're living with that passion, because you're living with passion for what your life and what you're doing, other people that are living with that passion for their idea of life are going to come in and attract to it. Like, again, like with NVRLESS, with your music, think about all the fans that are being attracted to your sound, to your music, coming up, talking to you after the show, connecting with you because you're igniting some sort of passion in them through your music to just live their lives, to feel comfortable with that, and to potentially feel comfortable just going forward with what they want to do, with staying up for themselves. It's something that in even the music industry too, with other bands and other people that you met through that are, working in the industry, that they're doing this because they love to do this. And you're connecting on that energy, you're connecting on that vibe, even though it's, different, might be different sounds, might be different overall modes, might be different backgrounds and how you got there. But because you're living passionately for life and you're bringing that positive energy, that's what's attracting so many people. And that's what's creating that moment where you know that if this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do.
It's the best feeling in the world, honestly. Like when we get like any sort of DM or like people talk to us after a show or like people order merch or like, people say so many things. They'll repost on their stories, they'll tag us, like they'll jump up in our comments, and like people go out of their way to be kind and to be like, hey, your guys' music like is really affecting me in a positive way. I think that is like probably the best feeling for me. Like I was, I try to respond to like as many DMs, like personal DMs that people will send me. Sometimes they take me totally out of left field. I'm just like, wow, I was not expecting that. But there's a guy that I've made friends with. His name's Anthony. There's a lot of Anthonys. Anthonys are homies. Okay, if your name is Anthony, you're automatically a homie of NVRLESS. His name's Anthony, and I can't remember where he's from, but he like DM'd me like 2 or 3 weeks ago and was like, he sent me a screenshot. He's like, I just replay this album like too much, but it's really helped me through some hard times in the last year. So I just really appreciate everything you guys do. And like, I literally couldn't even think of like how to respond. I was like, that just means so much. He was like, you guys basically saved my life. And that's like the biggest compliment like that somebody can give you, like basically a stranger telling you like something that you said and the way that you conveyed that passion like altered my chemistry. Like that, it made me feel something I didn't know that I could feel. And that's just like the best feeling for us.
That's something powerful too. And I think that kind of goes to any creative as well, where if you're going to get something like that, where something you made, something you create, something you put out there has connected with someone so much that it is, changed their outlook on life for the positive. Well, that is something that is insane. And especially for us too, as the creatives, it kind of gives more of that validation that what we're doing, it's, there's a lot of people that might be out there might be, like ragging on you or like, oh yeah, you're never going to do good or anything, or you're just not that good. But when you see something like that, it kind of validates the fact that what you're doing is something that matters. What you're doing is something that matters to somebody out there, and it's impacting them so positively that you're helping create a better world and make this world a better place because the positivity that you're spreading is taking someone that was in a bad spot and making them feel that passion again.
Yeah. It's really nice because like writing music for us is it's like therapeutic, right? We all go through our own kind of inner turmoil. So when we get a chance to kind of come together and just get the fucking bad emotions out and just kind of there's nothing like I've never felt anything like playing a show and just being around a bunch of people who are also just there to hang out and have a good time and kind of be in the moment. It's really therapeutic, right? Because you get to write the music and then that's just kind of a weird thing that I never really expected, is that, some people would be so affected by just this thing that we use as kind of therapy, to be so affected in like a positive way by it. It's like, holy shit, man. Like, it's really heavy, like that's a lot. Cause it's like, I know that I'm feeling this way, but I didn't expect somebody else to like not just relate. I mean, obviously, I guess relate, but more like feel better. You know what I mean? Because it makes us feel better. And so to hear somebody else feels better, you know, through it, it's definitely like a big aspect that I never even really saw coming, you know? So it's really cool talking with people after shows and just hanging out and interacting with those people. Cause a lot of times, I mean, we've had people at shows like, your music has fucking helped me so much. And it's like, oh my God, like I didn't even know you would have known who our band was. Like one of our first shows we ever played on that tour last year, which was our first show ever. Like I had a guy in the crowd that was just talking to me and he was like, I've been listening to you guys for so long. Like it's just so cool that you guys are like here. And it's wild because it's weird because we don't think anybody gives a shit, right? We're like, yeah, like we're putting music out. We're like, this is cool, but like I don't think anyone actually fucking cares. And so you get there, and there are people who really do care, and it's oh my God, it keeps you going. You know, it refills the gas tank.
Yeah,
you know?
I think. I mean, Jordan and I definitely like. We're so passionate about this, but we definitely have like some hella imposter syndrome going on.
Yeah.
We are definitely our own worst critics. And I think that, you know, like in today's day and age, like it's just mental health is really important. And I feel like we tend to, you know, like neglect it sometimes when, you know, we live in a social media dominated world where we're seeing so-and-so do this and, you know, this band's touring with this band and, you know, like, you know, I mean, anytime you go on social media, it's basically to see other people flexing, you know, like that's pretty much all it is. And that can be really hard on your mental health, whether you're in the music industry or not. But like to us, like we see so many people succeeding and we're super happy for them, but it's almost like a double-edged sword in a way, because we're like, damn, I would really love to be doing that, you know, like, but it feels so far. So then we measure our success, you know, like based on what we see, and it can be really hard to overcome that. But then like, it's really the little things, like putting out a song and somebody's like, dude, this is a fucking banger song, or like your guys' music is so important to me, or please drop another song soon, or, you know, like just like
we're trying.
Yeah. All of the little things, like I think really just kind of make all of that completely disappear. And, you know, like
kind of grounds you.
It kind of grounds you, and you're like, man, maybe I'm not like, you know, like I struggle with this like in my personal life, not just in like my music life, but like I think that I'm, you know, like just insufferable to be around. And like, you know, life is hard and every day, you know, can be a struggle, you know, if you let it be. And music is definitely like therapy to most people on this planet. And I just think that it's really, really humbling to be able to, you know, try to make a career out of it, and to see that it does resonate with so many people that, you know, we can call friends.
And again, have that positive impact on everybody. What you said about like comparison in social media, comparison is one of those things that is consistently going to put us in a spot where we feel like we're less than we actually are. And because it's social media, people are going to go on there and they're going to post the highlights of their lives. They're very rarely are they going to post the shit, the crap. It's all going to be about look at me, look at all this cool stuff I'm doing. And when it comes to their bands as well, of course you want to post all the positive stuff. Are we happy for these people, especially other people in the industry, other people that are doing well in music? Yes, absolutely. Because we love to see other people succeed. We love to see the stuff we love succeed. Absolutely. We love to see it grow, especially because these people share the same passion that we do. But I fall victim to that too. There are a couple of podcasts where it's like I see them sometimes pop up on social media and I will refuse to look at what they have. And it's never because of like the fact that I don't like them. It's always because I know that I'm going to end up looking at it. I'm going to see some of the guests they've had on. And all I'm going to think in my mind is, why the hell can I get them? Why didn't I get them? Why are they getting them and I'm not? And I don't want to play that comparison game. But today that we're recording this is the day Spotify Wrapped came out. And someone sent, I found on Instagram, someone had like, oh, I mentioned me in a story. And I was their most like listened to podcast of the year.
Wow.
Just one person.
Awesome.
Just like what you said about like, someone coming up and talking about your song. It's like, oh, how positive impacted you. Just that one thing. It just took me from, man, maybe this year wasn't the best for me at the podcast. Maybe I got to make some changes. It's like, well, whatever I'm doing is at least it's impacting someone incredibly positively.
Yeah, I think that like really like I think the reason that anybody cares about numbers is because that's what we're seeing like on our For You page, on our media, is like people that are just fucking doing these banging numbers. But like, I think like you just said, if it has the ability to impact somebody, like however big or small, I think you're doing the right thing, like, and maybe a large audience will come to follow, maybe it won't, but as long as you're happy and you're doing what you love and you're consistent, like, I think that sky's the limit. And, my fiance is really big on like manifesting, like manifest this energy. And sometimes I'm like, that's such bullshit, but like it kind of is a thing. Like,
it's kind of true.
If you go into something thinking, dude, there's no fucking way this is going to happen. It's probably not. But if you're like, this could totally happen. Like, I'm going to believe, and, we'll see what happens. A lot of the time, I feel like it does. It has a funny way of doing it. It might not happen right then and there, but just takes time, just takes passion. And I think that we both have to remind each other that all the time.
All the time. Yeah. But I mean, that's part of like what we at least, I think one of the things that really helps us get through the days and through the low, right? Because like, not every day is going to be a show. Not every day is going to be a festival. Mm-hmm. Not every day you're going to be on tour, right? There's going to be days where you're like sitting at home, you're tired, you haven't eaten yet. You're like, I got to do all this stuff. You're like, life kind of sucks. And then you kind of got to remember like, it's a lot about like embracing the highs, right? And like learning to manage the lows, because it's going to be up and down. Nobody's life is 100% always up here. There's always an off season. There's always a break, And so you have to really ground yourself and go, hey, like we may not be exactly where we want to be yet, but we need to learn to enjoy those lows also, because there's still life, right? Like we live in such an instant gratification world where we're like, man, I just want to put this out. Man, I just want to play music every single day of my life and crazy all the time. But that's just not how it works, and we have to kind of, we remind each other all the time, every day, probably, that it's like, hey, like we're getting there and we don't have to put a time limit. There's no time limit on this. You know what I mean? We're stable how we sitting on right now. Like I'm cool with working my job and doing what I got to do to be in this band, like it's just about enjoying this ride, right? Because like if we do get to the point where we're like, okay, yeah, we really made it, we're gonna look back to when we're 24, 25, to when I'm looking back to when I'm 19 going, no, Mom, I'm staying, and like put all those times share together, like that's the meat and potatoes right there, The rest of it's just kind of like dessert. And the whole point is like I get to spend my entire life hanging out with my best friend making music. Like what's better than that? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, there's not much better than that. I mean, like sometimes it just, you have to like pause and go like, dude, my life's not that shitty. Like it's not that bad. It's like that bad. Some days are really hard. Like they're way harder than others, but some days it's like, damn, I'm just happy to be here. Like, and I think we have really bonded through music and stuff, but like just talking about everything, like a lot of the time that we're together, when we do music stuff, we're talking probably 90% of it. So like it's
till 5 a.m.
Yeah, till 5 a.m.
We got half a song done and we've been here for 14 hours and we've talked 13 of them.
Yeah. So it's just part of the experience, and life comes in so many different shades of color. So just like enjoy each one as it comes.
I think to kind of piggyback off that too, is I'm going through the exact same stressors, at least about the career, right? Everyone's lives are different. You all have different aspects, but I'm going through the exact same stressors and concerns and worries about making this a career and doing this for real as you are and as Casey is. And everybody else is just as concerned about like, okay, like, is this actually going to work? Even when you're like close to the top or you're at the top, like you're still like, how do I keep this? And so everyone's always stressed out about it. So it's like understanding, hey, I understand that you're feeling like pain in a sense, like concern and this negativity, and understand that everyone's kind of going through that too. Really levels the playing field. Like, okay, like, hey, I get that you're stressed out. Let's talk about what helps me when I'm stressed out, and it's definitely like an emotional learning curve too, communication, all that stuff. So
that's a huge piece of it too. Just that huge communication piece. It's something that's needed, especially when it comes to people, if you're working in a band together, because if you don't have that, and not only a band, but just any sort of relationship, if you don't have that, things are just going to deteriorate. Even like we were talking about, that like feeling of like comparison, you're always like, there's the highs. It's all about, riding the waves of the highs, but also managing when you can get to the lows and be able to get through those. This is something that just popped in my head. I think about this. If there's times I should be thinking about this, I run into this problem too. There's certain problems I'm having. There's certain issues I'm having. If I thought about myself like 2-3 years ago, if I would complain about these issues, I'd be like, what are you talking about? You're doing great. Even at the beginning of 2023, if I went back to the beginning of 2023 and was complaining about certain issues early, or like being the year me would be like, dude, are you crazy? Like, you're almost at like 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. You almost got like, take a look at the Spotify numbers, take a look at the Apple Podcast numbers. Dude, this is where I want to be. And I'm like, I'm complaining about other shit that, is insignificant to me at the beginning of the year. So it kind of grounds you in the fact that, there's going to be other problems, but if you think back to where you were and where you wanted to be at that point in time, you're there. Now it's just getting that next step, because you always want to keep growing. You want to keep going more. You want to keep going further with this.
Oh, yeah.
That's so true. I was just thinking about that earlier today, because the whole Spotify Wrap thing came out today. And, you can see kind of past years for like our Spotify, and it's like, man, like, that kid at 17 would be freaking out right now. You know what I mean? Like, you got 750,000 streams. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you stressed out? Why are you worried? And it's like, it's a skill to kind of manage that, because when that number is 1.5 million, or when that number is 10 million, or who knows how big the number could ever get. The fact is, like, you're always going to be pushing forward. Right. But you have to learn to like accept and like appreciate what you've done, and in the grand scheme, it's not, in the grand scheme, who knows how big of an impact it is, but to like you and to, that progression over time, you just have to be willing, like ready to go, okay, like I'm actually doing this. Like, this is, I would be freaking out 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of like the whole entire, like theme of the podcast that came out of this whole entire thing was, for this episode specifically, is, think about everything that you've done. Think about where you were beforehand and where you are now. Where you were beforehand is where you want to be now. And then, of course, where you are now, 5 years from now, maybe 2 years from now, you're going to be at that point and you're going to want more, but it's going to keep happening like that. So you can keep reflecting back. You can continue to enjoy those highs. And then when those lows end up happening, you can manage them a lot better emotionally. On top of that as well, go after your fucking dreams, guys. Go after them, because you only get one shot at life. We only get one swing at life. Why would you go for a bunt single? That's always what I've been saying, and I want to make sure to bring that up. Now, I've got one more question for the both of you before we wrap this up, okay?
Sure.
It is the exact same question that actually led me to you to bring you to the podcast today.
Okay.
Thanks to Trevor from Windwalker. So I'm going to ask, between the two of you, can you give me 3 bands, like your level, maybe a little bit lower than you, a little bit higher than you, that you are absolutely enjoying right now, that you suggest that we go and check out, not only myself, but the fans as well?
Normandy. They're a band from
sure.
Sweden. They are, I'm so excited for their Dopamine album to drop. I've been waiting for new music from them for 2.5 years now. And I literally cannot stop playing their couple new singles.
I mean, they're like next level songwriters. Like, it is just,
they write, I like, this might be a little controversial, but there are a lot of bands that sound sonically really good to me. But sometimes their lyrics are just kind of like a little lackluster for me. I'm a really emotional person, so I really do like take to heart what someone has to say with their pen and paper. And I can really appreciate a really fucking well-written song. And these guys are Swedish, and I don't think that, I'm pretty sure that English is not their first language, but they learn it as like a second language. They write all their songs in English, and they are probably 90% better written than most American music that I listen to. So I'll just put that out there. Doesn't mean other people's aren't good. It just means that they're just crushing it like 90% harder, which is crazy because that's not even their first language. So another artist is,
I think I probably, okay. So, I mean, there's still like pretty good sized bands right now, but I think, I think Rivals is just doing it.
Rivals,
dude. I think Rivals is I think they're just absolutely killing it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still unsigned, and they are just, I mean, dude, their songwriting
they can write the shit out of a song.
Write the shit out of a song, man. Like, I mean, it was cool because like I'm big on production, right? Like I like good ear feel stuff,
ear candy,
ear candy, you know? And so like when you hear a new mix, it's like, oh, you expect a really good mix out of like a really good budgeted band, you know? But like you take a band that's a little bit still on the up and coming, and you have such good quality production out of John Espy did it. I think
I'm pretty
from
sure
John Espy from Red Jumpsuit did at least their last album, and I mean those guys are they're just cracked.
They're built different for
so
sure.
Good. Oh yeah,
Kaylee's vocals,
Kaylee's
she's
fucking nuts,
so
dude.
good,
Unbelievable.
Just really raw.
They're like next up for sure. They are definitely, those guys are crazy.
Yeah,
crazy good.
I love the whole dark pop, like the dark pop with rock, and like even a little bit of like their older stuff. It's like a little more metalcore.
Dude, bad bitch metal. That's what it is. It's
bad bitch metal,
dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Those guys are sick. So cool.
And then cool. I love Tropic Gold. They're a band from Australia, and I really fuck with these guys. That's pretty. I love Australian bands because they're just so built different. They're so ahead of the curve.
Oh God, yeah.
Damn it, why couldn't I have been born in another continent? Like, it's so crazy because like a lot of our most of like our top 5 listeners like on Spotify, going back to Spotify Wrapped, of course, the top 3 cities for our listeners, like every month, like again and again and again, are all Australian cities. So, I mean, it means a lot to me if them Australian metalcore listeners like our stuff, because that's y'all are built different.
Northland, if you want to take us on an Australian tour, that'd be sick.
That would be sick. Yeah,
please, bro.
I love Tropic Gold. The best way I can explain it is they're almost like, there's not really much screaming going on. Like little to none, but they're almost like an edgier Diet Bad Omens.
They're all metal for sure.
Yeah,
like it's such a
because like Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens is always like, but he's also singing like an angel, and the vocalist for Tropic Gold is just like so smooth with his vocals, but he's got like some grit to it. Not really much screaming, but instrumentally, like vibe, production, everything is pretty similar to Bad Omens, and the delivery for sure.
I think when it comes to giving 3 examples, you just hit it out of the park with 3 of those. No Normandy. I know I've had probably bring him on the podcast before, but I got rejected the first time. Doesn't mean it's gonna get rejected the second time. Rivals, I've heard of them before. I believe I do know their actual band manager, so might make it happen. That
dude,
might be a new one.
We're rooting for you, Rivals. If you see this, give our man a shot.
Yeah, come on, give me a shot. Come on.
Also take us on tour.
Please, God.
Please.
Also take NVRLESS on tour. That's a great idea. Take NVRLESS on tour. And now it's time for me to wrap up this podcast with 3 very specific things. First things first, NVRLESS, yes, they're right here, right next to me in this video, but you're going to want to make sure you follow along with them, right? On any social media platform, so you know when new stuff is coming out, so when you know shows are coming out, and so that you can contact them and connect with them, because if you're enjoying their music, connect with them. That's just going to fuel the fire of positivity, so let's keep it rolling. Watch them on YouTube, watch their videos, go support them, go get some merch, and also stream all their music as well. Best place to do that is to go to the description of the podcast, where it says Find NVRLESS online. Links, labels for everything are there. I'm going to be your own personal Google on this one. So go, make sure you follow them, subscribe to them, check them out on everything, because I said so, and they said so too. Now it's time for number 2. So every guest on the podcast, I enjoy the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise way to say thank you for being on the podcast, and I want to continue to support you in any way. And this is an absolute blast of an episode, so you both hit on this promise. It is a when. Because when says this is going to happen, we just have yet to pick a day or time when I get to see you perform live for the first time. I'm going to go all Liam Neeson from Taken on you. I'm going to look
Hell
for you.
yeah.
I will pursue you. I will fight you. I will say hi. And the first round's on me.
Yeah,
Yes,
all right. If we have a tour bus, you can bring a case.
Yes.
Yes!
All that on Instagram.
Yes! It worked with Caskets. I've done it with Kingdom Collapse too. We'll do it with you guys.
We got to get a secret
Yes.
knock going for sure.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. I'll knock on the bus door and be like, who is it? It's the beer man. Open up. You'll see me with a case of like spotted cow. I'll be like, hey!
Hey, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And now it's time for number 3. Bringing this to a conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye, because this podcast was incredible. This episode was way too much fun. I have to make good on that promise, and I would love to have you both back on the podcast again in the future to talk about when you got
absolutely.
more shows coming out and when you got new music coming up. I'd love to bring you back.
Definitely,
yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna be
It'll be
dropping some new music in January, so be on the lookout for that. It's definitely our favorite song that we've written to date. So
For sure.
Be on the lookout for that. So now we can end this podcast by saying goodbye. That's way too final. I'm in it by saying this. I'll see you later.
see you later.
later.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Woo! Well, folks, another interview with Casey and Jordy from the band NVRLESS. And now it's time for Kevin's final thought. I'm going to keep this one short because it's hard to summarize this one up without just saying go back and re-listen this whole entire thing and just take a look at the chapters and everything, because what Casey and Jordy talked about when it came to support, when it came to, find success, when it came to just keeping everything in context, why what you're doing with your creative stuff is important, not only for yourself, but for the people that are listening, the people that are watching, the people that are caring. It can have such a positive impact on their life where, we impact one person with what we're doing for the positive. It can be that thing that just keeps us going, keeps us moving. And when it comes down to it, maybe we're not going to hit and reach as many people as we want to in life. Maybe we're not all going to be bringing the horizon, but maybe we're going to have the chance to be able to impact someone so positively. We're going to make the world a better place like NVRLESS is doing. So go check them out when they play their show with Bad Wolves at the Whisky Go-Go in Los Angeles on December 11th. Be sure to go to the description of the podcast where you can find them. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all over the place where you can stream music, find their music, download their music, buy some merch, everything around there. Be sure also to follow along with the Chord Progression Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, link description of the podcast below. Hit subscribe on YouTube or hit that follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon. Like these episodes because we put out new podcast episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday, help push us in the algorithm. And now I am getting tongue-tied, so just enjoy more NVRLESS and just go back to this podcast if you want some more positivity. That's good, guys. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. So the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!